Hi there, I'm Shrey Chande. I am the new accounts receivable manager here at Cracklin Cracker Company. I do have to say, I probably joined this role largely because of the company name. The pay wasn't that bad either, so no complaints there. But I do understand you called me in here today to discuss primarily our trade credit and our accounts receivable aging report. I understand you're extremely busy, so I won't take up too much of your time. Starting out, though, I do want to go over the actual figures you presented in regards to our accounts receivable turnover and our day sales outstanding report. So our accounts receivable turnover, as according to the company formula, is currently 0.067. I have noticed though, and this may just be coming because I used to work at the Tasty Treat Company, and we used to use a different formula in regards to calculating this. A key thing that I noticed is that we are using our average accounts receivable over our credit sales, whereas the industry standard, not only at Tasty Treat but at a variety of our competitors, is actually credit sales over average accounts receivable, and that ratio is 14.905 approximately. This is definitely the better formula from my standpoint. Again, take this however you may, but I do believe that we can make things easier for our accounting department by creating that new ratio. Obviously, though, by our current company standards, our turnover ratio is 0.067, and if we're using it to track our overall efficiency in regards to that, then that's the number you're going to want to use. But I do suggest that we switch over to the ratio of credit sales over average accounts receivable, which is going to be 14.905. Our day sales, sorry, our day sales outstanding ratio was calculated to be a pretty decent 21.835. Overall, that was the main analysis I could really get from the aging credit report or the aging accounts receivable report that you sent over. There wasn't too much more to glean from that data, but that is what I was able to get for you. Another key thing that I do want to go over, though, was more specifically the exact components of our collection system. This is part of the reason I think that we aren't really as efficient as we could be. I think that going over the basics again, not just for you, obviously, an esteemed person as yourself at very high levels in the company, but I feel like we should push this out to the entire accounting department, the entire finance department, and if possible to the C-suite in regards to just, giving a rebrief to make sure everybody stays refreshed in regards to what exactly composes a collection system. So the key things are really cash payments. This is usually going to be individuals and retail. We don't really rely too much on cash payments from our customers. The main thing that we do rely on are check payments, which are very largely going to be from business to business and business to consumer. Obviously, we're focusing on the B2B end side of it here since we're selling mostly to our grocery stores all throughout the United States. And that is a key component of our collection system, making sure these checks are coming in, making sure that they are properly dated, making sure that they're properly signed, all that good stuff. We have to ensure that to keep our cash flow good. Credit card and debit card are also things. I think that we have them a little bit with online sales, but again, we're focusing a lot more on our actual grocery stores that are, taking our crackers throughout the country. So I'm not focused too much on credit card and debit card. We do have debit card usage from a small number of business owners, but that doesn't constitute much, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. Online payments in regards to services such as PayPal, we don't focus too much on that, but that is something that I do suggest we can work on in the future. The transaction fee is going to be a little bit higher, but definitely streamlines the process for our accounting department over like checks and stuff like that. Checks can obviously get lost in the mail, can be forged, can be post-dated to a date that's inconvenient for us. But with online payments and PayPal and all of those great services, it's verifiable and it's transactable. It's an immediate transaction. There's no forgery that's possible, and we get the transaction completed when we want it. There are also credit and payment plans. And I think our trade credit is something I'm going to brush up on in just a minute, but I do think we have some very key issues and very critical issues that we need to take care of in regards to that. In regards to payment plans, we do have payment plans established for these grocery stores that we're selling our crackers to, us being the wholesalers and then sending it out to the retailers who eventually get it to the consumers. The final component that I'd like to point out is just the business invoices that we send out and that we receive. Seems like a pretty simple component to consider in regards to this, but it is very, very much so overlooked. Like, you would be surprised, obviously, not in regards to your ability, since you obviously did know about this, and so did the C-suite employees. But in regards to our general accounting department, I do feel like it's grossly underlooked, and that's something that we need to fix. The invoice is obviously the heart of our accounting system in regards to where we know and who we know owes us how much money. Without them getting us that money and without them knowing how much money to get us, we can't really operate as a company, and obviously, operation is going to be the primary motivation here. Some other things that I did want to do, though, is give you a couple of policies that we could use to manage trade credit. Being the accounts receivable manager, I did take it upon myself to do a little bit of market analysis in regards to what exactly we could do. I have the 10K, which is the quarterly report for the Tasty Treat Company, filed by the SEC. I'll just hand that over to you. And that essentially will outline why they're doing so much better than us in regards to overall cash flow and how they've shortened their working capital cycle. A couple of policy ideas that I had, though, was first off, give discounts for early payment. This is a pretty common industry secret, quote unquote, that while we can extend trade credit to everybody, we can say, like, hey, if you pay within the first week, we'll give you a 2% discount on the whole order. Now, obviously, we're taking a little bit of a hit, but I do believe with how much capital and we'd be receiving through the influx of the new policy, we would overall make back our money by shortening our working capital cycle and be able to reinvest that money into the company, into potential growth, and into sourcing new customers. Another thing that I've noticed is we can kind of cap the trade credit dues by a certain amount of days, right? So like 15, 30, 45, 60, and 90 days are typically the industry standard. I'd say let's stray away from the 90-day limit, since that is a bit much, and we want to have money in our pockets, or the company's pockets, rather say, as quickly as possible to make it more efficient for us and give us the overall advantage in the industry. In regards to this, though, we can determine these trade deadlines case by case. With smaller and with very low cap retailers, we can kind of go with 90 days, or 60 days, rather say. Let's leave out 90 days as a trade deadline. But for very large firms, I know that we sell to a couple of multi-billion-dollar chains in regards to our products as wholesalers into retailers. We may want to cap them at 15 to 30 days. This kind of just gives them a requirement to meet with us, and that allows us to have the bargaining chip, since our products are flying off the shelves, and I mean, I'm sure they want it. If they don't meet the trade deadline, I mean, tough for them. Either products are going to get more expensive for them, or they're just not going to have access to our products, which is going to hit them a lot harder than it hits us. I do believe that enacting these two policies, the discount for early payment and keeping that relatively low at like 1 or 2% for early payment, like within the first week, and capping these trade deadlines on a case-to-case basis would really help us out. I think the final thing that I wanted to discuss with you was the impact of accounts receivable collection on our working capital cycle. So our accounts receivable kind of helps cash flow with quicker payment. There's not really a change in working capital technically, since we're just moving cash from accounts receivable into our actual current asset cash. But the thing is, it still allows us for growth, since we have more cash at our actual discretion and at our disposal. The cycle does get a lot quicker is the key thing to glean from this. If we shorten this overall accounts receivable period, and if we ensure that the accounts receivable collection gets faster, we will have a positive impact on our working capital cycle. Shortening this working capital cycle allows us to transform our current assets into cash much quicker, and I mean, we can't really transfer assets to other companies, but what we can do is transfer cash, for example, to our ingredient producers, to our distributors, to our distribution network. All of this stuff kind of just proves the fact that we do have a pretty bad system of trade credit right now. And I do believe that through the C-suite guidance, we can get our accounts receivable turnover a lot lower. We can get our daily sales outstanding to be more optimized. And using the ideas that I gave in regards to just brushing up on the components of collection system, on the discount policy and the cap trade policy, we can overall make this company be a lot more optimized in functionality in regards to the bottom line profit. So that's all I have. I'm open to any questions.